Hello everyone, this is Suzanne at The Gospel Truth. Welcome back. For me, today is Saturday, August 3rd. This will be aired Monday, August 5th. I have to get used to saying August. Can't believe that July just zipped by on us. I decided to record some of these ahead of time so that hopefully we won't miss any days. So that's our goal. We're going to try to keep reaching that goal. I am doing much better. Praise the Lord. Thank you for all your prayers. The cortisone shot I got in my knee. My knee's not been hurting. My surgical knee is feeling better. My shoulder is doing better. What a difference. I feel like I'm becoming a whole person again. I'm working on losing my weight. My sugar was kind of high, so I got to work on getting that taken care of. And I'm just looking forward to positive things happening in my life on down the road. I'm hoping to reach some goals by Christmas and let nothing stop me from reaching them. I'm going to be precise and I'm going to be on task and just take one day at a time. If we take too many days at a time, it overwhelms us. So just stay in the day. Do what needs to be done that day. You can kind of plan ahead, but don't get too far ahead. That's only leads to frustration and discouragement. All right, we've been reading out of the book, Keep the Faith, How to Stand Strong in a World Turned Upside Down by Dr. David Jeremiah. And a lot of you have expressed that you have learned so much and that this is really a great book and you're glad that it's one that I picked. We just learned about how we can recognize discouragement. Factor 1 was fear, then frustration, then failure, and fear. And then we learned how to respond to that discouragement. First response was to cry out to God. Looking for the second response here. The second response is continue the work God has given you to do and concentrate on the big picture. If we can do those things, our life will be much, much better. Wouldn't you agree with that? I most certainly do. All right, let's get started right away. Today, we are now in chapter 3, Win Against Worry. Wow, I'm ready for this one. Win against worry. Your local YMCA is crowded with people who have come to relax. They take refreshing swims or work up a healthy sweat in the weight room. It's a place where you go for recreation, unless you happen to be the man in charge. George McCausland directed a YMCA facility in the Pittsburgh area, and things weren't going well for him. The job was eating him up inside. George was struggling with his work. The club's membership was on a downward spiral. It was operating in the red with high debt, and George had to contend with critical staff problems. People came here to work off their tension, but where could the director go with his own? He went nowhere at all, of course. George worked obsessively, feeling that if he simply put in a little more time, he could somehow put together all the pieces. It wasn't long before he was behind his desk 85 hours per week. And somehow, when he finally came home, he was too tired to sleep. He was already thinking about an early start for the next day. Vacations were few, and when he was away, the YMCA and its problems weighed even more heavily on his slumping shoulders. A therapist told him that something had better give because a nervous breakdown was well on its way. That's when George began to think about God. Where did he fit into this unhappy, chaotic picture? Have you ever felt like George? Where you're working many, many hours a week and you just seem like you're never getting ahead, the problems still remain, and when you're not at work, you think about work. It's not a good place to be at all. Daniel was a promising college student. At age 19, he had committed his life to serving Christ, and his sights were set on entering the ministry. All around him were fun-loving students, just kids, really, who were soaking up all the good things about college life and its atmosphere. But not Daniel. He was struggling to simply keep a meal down. His stomach was tied in knots, and it had been months since he enjoyed dinner without the fear of terrible stomach pain. The doctor did some tests and told Daniel he had the beginnings of a serious ulcer. An ulcer at age 19. Weren't those for the fast lane executive and Wall Street traders? No, said the doctor. Ulcers are for chronic worriers. And Daniel knew he was speaking the truth. It seemed as if the mildest thing could cause him to snap. A car that wouldn't start. A textbook he couldn't find. He was as tight as a bowstring, and he was dwelling in the world of the worst case scenario. What if this? What if that? What's the worst thing that can happen? Daniel knew his health had been compromised. But just as damaging, so had his joy. Wasn't he supposed to be living the abundant life? Hadn't Jesus said his yoke was easy and his burden light? Surely this anxiety couldn't be a pleasing thing for God to look upon. Surely the Lord must have better plans for his child. Ulcers at age 18 or 19. Wow. Weighed down. We can all agree that when it comes to membership in the human race, worry is a part of the package. We also know that it's a useless and unhealthy vice. Corrie ten Boom used to recite a little couplet. Worry is an old man with bended head, carrying a load of feathers which he thinks are lead. She understood that anxiety is ultimately foolish because it concerns that which isn't. It lives in a future that can't be foreseen. It deals in what-ifs and could-bes, speculation and possibility. And as long as we dwell on the worst-case scenario, we guarantee our own misery, for an extensive catalog of calamity is always within reach of the imagination. The Bible chooses its language carefully when describing worry. The basic biblical word has the meaning of to take thought or to be careful. Those are good things at first glance. But the Greek gives us the word picture of a divided mind. The worrier has a mind torn between the real and the possible, the immediate and the potential. He's trying to fight the battle of life on two fronts, and he's bound to lose the war. The worrier attempts to live in the future, and that presents him with two problems. The future isn't here, and the future isn't his. The future isn't here, and the future isn't his. Let's make note of that. We can't live on the what-ifs or the shoulda, woulda, couldas in life. It will drive us absolutely crazy. Nothing can be done, and no amount of worrying affects the issue one iota. The future is unknown, uncontrollable, and therefore irrelevant in terms of our peace of mind. Remember when I said that we need to fix our attention on things that we have control over, and the rest of it give it to God that we don't have control over? If you don't do that, you're going to get ulcers. You're going to be short. You're going to snap at people. And we want to not do that. These truths are especially poignant when it seems as if our world is upside down. In such moments of distraction and despair, we are desperate to find something we can cling to that will offer some stability, some hope. Yet worry offers no such handouts because the future contains no such solidity. When Jesus preached the greatest sermon of all history, he was very clear on the issue of anxiety. In a 9-verse passage in Matthew 6, he uses the expression, "Don't worry," 3 times. So if you'd like to have the teachings of Jesus on the subject of anxiety, we can state them in full 2 words. Don't worry. The next time you do give in to worry, you can ask yourself which section of that teaching you don't understand. Before we take a look at the passage in which Jesus discussed worrying, may I offer 2 simple disclaimers. Don't worry doesn't mean don't plan. It is true that in Matthew 6:34, Jesus says, "Do not worry about tomorrow." The King James Version has it, "Take therefore no thought for the morrow, and many people have seized on that as a prohibition against career ambition, financial planning, life insurance, or any number of things. But no one who takes the time to read the Gospels would say that Jesus has a problem with planning. He planned for his ministry after his death, resurrection, and ascension. He spent plenty of time preparing his disciples for Jerusalem and beyond. He also taught that we shouldn't break ground on that new high-rise until we've done the paperwork. To live without planning isn't pure spirituality, it's pure insanity. So we do the best, we make the best plans we can, we try to do the things necessary to make those plans come true. And sometimes we fail. But with each time we fail, that's a step of more knowledge, more wisdom to do better in the future with our planning. Don't worry does not mean don't be concerned. There are those who quote Philippians 4:6, "Be anxious for nothing," as an excuse for a careless lifestyle. Don't worry, be happy. But that's not what we're talking about at all. If you don't worry about your children playing near traffic, you're a terrible parent. If you're not concerned about walking off the roof of a skyscraper, you'll learn the meaning of that old poster that said gravity it's not just a good idea, it's the law. There are things you need to be concerned about. There's a difference between carefree and careless. But realistic concern and restless anxiety are separate matters. So what's the difference? In short, concern focuses on the present. Worry is attached to the future. The present is before us, and there are actions we can take. The future is out of our hands. What Jesus is teaching about is the captivity of worry, and in Matthew 6 we'll discover what worry is all about and how we can face it as part of our efforts to keep the faith and finish our race. Facing worry. We're going to explore one of the most encouraging and comforting of all Jesus' teachings. It's part of the Sermon on the Mount. And it's actually divided into two sections, verses 25 through 32 and then 33 through 34. Let's find out what is revealed in the first of those sections. Worry is inconsistent. Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you'll eat, what you'll drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Matthew 6:25. Worry is simply inconsistent. Jesus is asking, who gave you the body you live inside? Who established its requirements for food, clothing, for shelter? Do you think he has gone anywhere? Don't you think that same provider will see to your needs? In essence, there is an argument from the greater to the lesser. Consider the God who created us a little lower than the angels, ordaining and establishing the miracle of human life and all the beautiful complexity of the human organism. Then he fashioned with his powerful hands the heat of the sun, the revolving world, and the four seasons. He took an awful lot of trouble, didn't he? Why then would he be careless about these little things? A crust of bread, a patch of clothing, a dry haven from the storm. If a God so tall could never overlook something so small, according to Jesus, is not life more? Those are his words. If you buy into a creator God, you must buy into a sustainer God, or you're simply inconsistent. The evidence of his loving and timely care is all around us. Use your mind and you'll find comfort for your soul. So worry is inconsistent. Jesus gave us everything we need, and he will always provide for us. There are many avenues to get food, clothing, and shelter. There's many helps out there. God works through other people, encouraging us and supplying us with the things that we need. And if we connect up with other people, we'll know where these great resources are. And we can thank the Lord for those resources, that people donate food, they donate clothing, they donate water, and they want to help their fellow man. God will always provide in some shape or some form, so don't worry. Worry is irrational. Look at the birds of the air, for they neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more valuable than they? Jesus' first argument is refutable. He who gives us life can surely sustain that life. But Jesus has anticipated the follow-up question. God can provide, but will he provide? Jesus attacks the second question from the opposite direction. Now he moves from the lesser to the greater, into this case, from birds to human beings. He says, look into the trees, and you'll see the little sparrows. A plain copper coin will buy you 2 of them. Few things are sold so cheaply. Does your Father value you less than a copper coin? His hand is behind every bird that falls to the ground. If he's got the whole world in his hands, doesn't that include you? And that was a paraphrase of Matthew 10:29. Sometimes we make fascinating discoveries when we bring 2 separate passages together. Consider this matter of the value of the sparrows. Take a side trip over to Luke 12:6, and you'll find another market value, 5 sparrows for 2 copper coins. Put Matthew and Luke together, and it's 2 for a penny, and buy 4 and get 1 free. A copper coin was worth 1/16 of a denarius. A denarius was 1 day's wages. So what Jesus is saying is this. A copper coin gets you 2 sparrows, 2 coins get you 5. Not even the free sparrow, who has no market value, can fall to the ground without your Father knowing about it. He follows every movement, whether it's bird or beggar or baron. As a matter of fact, says Jesus, he knows every sparrow that falls to the ground. He knows when one of your hairs does likewise. Somewhere he has a database that tracks the very hairs on your head. And if he's so meticulous with the smallest, most incidental inventory items, won't he also tend to your deeper concerns? Once again, Jesus gives us an argument we can't refute. This time from the lesser to the greater. We must conclude that worry is inconsistent and irrational. And there's another problem with it. And when we pick up again, it will be worry is ineffective, worry is illogical, worry is irreligious. And then we'll learn about how to fight worry. We're going to stop right here. And when you sit in a rocking chair, if all you do is rock in the same spot, it creates a rut. It gets you nowhere. But if you get up off that rocking chair and you start being proactive and you start making things happen in your life through the eyes of Jesus, blessings will come upon you, one right after another. Your eyes will be open to the deeper knowledge of the scriptures. And isn't that really what we're all trying to attain here? To become closer to God, closer to his word, seeing things from his perspective. And when we get anxious, fearful, stressful, all these things we've talked about in this book, that we need to stop, put on the brakes, and remind ourselves the things we have learned, go back to the scriptures, and reset, transform our mind. I hope that if you are having a problem of worry every day, you're distressed, you're short with people, you feel like you're ready to snap, that you take a deep breath and know that God is in control, God is in charge. Let go of things you can't control. Control those things you can, and stay in the day. Stay in the day. All right, everyone. That's our lesson for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's time for me to close, and I think I might take my dog out for another walk. He just loves those walks. I enjoy it too. It helps me get up and move and do what I need to do. If I sit too long and overthink it, I won't do it. Do you do that? Overthink things and then you end up not doing it? Instead of just saying, nope, I'm going to get up and do this. Whether it's doing the dishes, doing the laundry, going for a walk, going to the beach, whatever it is, just get up and do it. You'll feel much better and you'll feel so productive at the end of the day. All right, everyone, take care. I'll be back on hopefully Tuesday. I'm trying to pre-record some of these ahead so that we'll keep on track. So God bless you and have a great rest of your weekend. Oh, well, I guess a great week because this is a weekend. All right, take care. Bye-bye.